Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. It's troubled times for RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat. In fact, those troubles are mounting by the day. Now, what was that story which hijacked the entire day today? And that was that this X account of the American Hindus for Engagement and Dialogue, whose acronym is AHEAD, and that is the organization which is supporting the upcoming Universal Oneness celebration in New York, featuring RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat. Now, X account of AHEAD Forum was blocked, and then AHEAD Forum had appealed to X, after which there was a whole lot of halabaloo. There were a lot of reactions coming from the social media. In fact, the government went to the extent of saying that this is something between RSS and X, and they have to resolve. This is what Meti said. And the sources in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology told Times Now that the matter is between X and RSS and not between the tech firm and the government. So the government really washed off its hands and they didn't want to get into this controversy. But as we are live, it's morning time now in New York, and the news just coming in that the AHEAD Forum X handle has been restored. And you can see this on the screen. We are back up. We got botted by misguided opponents who tried to game the X algorithm and get our handle blocked. A big thank you to X at the rate support for the prompt response, restoring our account and clearing out the bots. Now back to what really matters, celebrating universal harmony and universal oneness. And this is what they have tweeted. So it was just not this X account which was blocked and is now restored, but as far as the US IRF is concerned, the US Commission on International Religious and Freedom, they came out with a fresh press release urging the US government to implement targeted sanctions against the members of the RSS and specific Indian officials. In fact, if you look at the press release carefully, they didn't even target RSS, but they went beyond and spoke about this entire 12 years of Modi and Shah's governance. They spoke about CEA, they spoke about NRC, they spoke about the way mob lynchings are happening and how minorities are targeted. Then they said that beyond the borders, the Sikh community is being targeted. So it was quite a heavy attack on the way Prime Minister Modi has been ruling India for the last 12 years. It was a hard-hitting press release, but coming as it does, just one day before the main event, that is 29th of August. Tomorrow is the event, and the protests still continue outside the Madison Square Garden. Now in Canada, what we have come to know, some more than 40 organizations have said that they will deny entry to RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat. More than 40 organizations have got together, and those 40 organizations are supported by many Canadian MPs as well. And they are saying that we will not let Mohan Bhagwat enter Canada. Now, if you talk about the Canada event, that's going to play out on 31st and 1st of September. So immediately after Mohan Bhagwat wraps up from New York, he will be going to Canada. And that's what the itinerary says. And he's already facing a lot of brickbats in New York. Then again, he has to face a lot of opposition in Canada as well. And then the third country he's visiting is United Kingdom. So is it going to be easy for Mohan Bhagwat? That's question number one. What if the New York event somehow, we don't know, but there's a lot of pressure on the streets. And if you have seen the visuals, which we showed yesterday as well, there was a lot of opposition. The protesters are still protesting outside the Madison Square Garden and saying that they've likened RSS to organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They say that their hands are bloodstained and they were responsible. And they've called RSS, in fact, the Indian Nazis. That's what the kind of expression we saw from the various protesters. So the sentiment is very much against Mohan Bhagwat. But even then, despite that, he's going to be addressing a gathering of 5,000 people at the Madison Square Garden. So is it going to be easy? Or will it be very difficult? Zohra Mamdani yesterday had said that I don't support this RSS rally, but it's not in the jurisdiction to cancel this private event. But there could be other ways of putting roadblocks to this to this event. Like, say for example, we saw, though the ahead forum has said that it was the account was botted up, but what if there are various other means of putting pressure on the organizers? Maybe that could be one which had paid out during the day, and now thank god the account has been restored. So will Mohan Bhagwat be able to conduct the function at New York? How is it going to be with him at Canada and also United Kingdom? Are the troubles really mounting? But Sunil Ambekar, who's the RSS leader, has put out a tweet this morning, and he's very gung ho, and in fact, quite spirited about this event coming up in New York. And he says Universal Oneness celebration in New York exemplifies an interfaith gathering where RSS Sarsang Chalak Dr. Mohan Bhagwat ji will communicate with diverse, multicultural, and multi faith audience. Organized in the spirit of open dialogue and mutual respect, the event reflects Bharatiya ethos, which is fundamentally inclusive and welcoming to all. This initiative is in line with long-standing tradition of engagement by RSS with varied communities across India and the world, fostering understanding and shared purpose. We invite anyone interested in learning more about the RSS vision and philosophy to participate in these open forums of dialogue. So it's not going to be easy. Now look at this: the Hindu American Foundation, they put out a community advisory alert saying that the Hindu American Foundation is issuing the security alert in advance of the Universal Oneness celebration of Madison Square Garden in New York City. Stay vigilant, remain situationally aware, and keep interactions civil. Ahead of the event, activists targeting Hindu Americans have attempted to disrupt and cancel the celebration. We urge the New York Mayor, Zohra Mamdani, to uphold his sworn duty to protect all New Yorkers, including event attendees, and guarantee everyone's safety and civil rights. So, could there be, now looking at this advisory, could there be a law and order problem? What kind of a problem is it for Trump? Is Trump really bothered? I'm sure he's watching all the protests which are playing out on the streets of New York. How is it going to be? To understand all this, joining me this evening is Dr. Muqtedar Khan, academician, and also he has his own YouTube, a very popular YouTube channel called Khanversations. Dr. Khan is there. He joins us from Delaware. Thank you so much for joining, Dr. Khan. And what a dramatic day. The X handle of Ahead Forum was blocked. Now it's restored. And the kind of backlash we saw on the social media, people saying that now we'll not allow the left organizations to conduct functions in India, let their visas not be given clearances. And now it's time that X should be banned, and we should have our own social media. There were reactions like that. What would you say? What was really playing out, and why do you think that X account was blocked?
Thank you very much for having me, Neelu. The X account probably was blocked because there were some complaints filed by lots of people saying that these people are spreading hate, and so the initial algorithm kicked in and they did it. I definitely think that it was restored probably by the intervention of the US government. A lot of Western media, such as YouTube, X, WhatsApp, because of just the sheer size of the Indian population, all of them make a lot of money in India, so they do not want to upset. And if you remember, the founder of Facebook apologized within 72 hours after there was complaints about them blocking one of Prime Minister Modi's posts. So, but what I find a bit ironic is that this particular X account, I think, has been just created for this event. So that people don't see what other kind of posts RSS is posting. So they created a special account. It has only 2,000 plus followers, and only the posts are only about this event and nothing else. So, but what I find fascinating about it is the fact that they are talking about oneness and trying to push forward the Vasudeva Kutumbakam agenda. First of all, people should know that RSS excludes half of humanity straight away. There are no women in RSS. Okay, this is a male-only organization, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that men are in minority in the world. So they exclude a majority of people. So there's no inclusion or universality or oneness when RSS comes. And then beyond that, It excludes religions. Its very vision of India is exclusionary. And I think that contradicts the very spirit of New York. People don't understand that Mamdani's victory is such an amazing testimony to the spirit of inclusion and tolerance. The thing that RSS leader wants to talk about is the thing that New Yorkers practice every day in their life. I can guarantee you, one of the most interesting in a Law and Order episode, there were two people talking in some language, and the cop turns around and says, "Can anybody tell me what language is this?" And there are enough foreigners in New York to say, "Oh, that is Armenian," and one guy volunteers to translate. So anywhere in New York, you will find people from all over the world. This is the most embracing, accepting. And so for somebody who is so exclusionary, so intolerant of women, of minorities, etc., to go there, is trying to perpetrate a fraud upon Americans. And that is, I think, it's an unethical thing. If
Right.
he
No, but
wants
those
to
are
be
strong
inclusive, he
words.
should do it at home.
Right. Dr. Khan, those are strong words coming from you. You're saying that this is like perpetuating fraud on America. And I'm sure the New Yorkers realize it, they realize it very well. But if the function goes ahead, uh, can we foresee some sort of a law and order problem, like the security alert which has been given? Do you preempt that there could be some law and order problem there?
Not really. That's not going to happen. The only chances are if there is. Yeah, I don't know whether you saw similar episodes in Melbourne, in Australia, where there were fights within the Indian diaspora. Even in New Zealand, you saw literally street fights between Sikhs and Hindus, and then you saw the same fights in Canada. I don't think it will come to that. Mamdani will make sure that there's enough police presence there, so that he does not want this episode to be marred, because then the discussion will shift away from what RSS is to who New
Right.
Yorkers are, right? But I think the provocation
But
could
there are
come.
possibilities like of the street brawl you're talking about
Yeah,
between
yeah,
the
yeah. Because there
diaspora.
will be protesters outside, right? They'll be
Right.
standing there with signs, and you have already seen signs comparing them to the Nazis, etc. So there will be a lot
Yes.
of provocative posters. There's no doubt about it. The Gandhi killers is the most common placard that you see all the time. I mean, RSS can complain till they are blue that no, 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 his
And not
membership
to
had
forget that
expired.
billboard truck.
Yeah, yeah,
Not to
yeah.
forget that
Yeah,
billboard
yeah,
truck which is moving
yeah.
around.
Yeah, Nathuram Godse sent us an email withdrawing his membership before he shot Gandhiji. They can say that much as they like, but the posters are there saying Gandhi killers, and stuff like that. So it could upset somebody who are coming in. But I think if RSS is trying to pretend to be a highly inclusive, tolerant, etc., then their supporters will have to be on the best behavior, at least for this event, because there's a lot more attention here than there would have been. So,
No, but
so
there is a certain angle of duplicity, not
of
certain,
course,
but large angle of duplicity, because back home in India, they espouse for divisiveness, polarization, hatred. And there, when they go on the foreign soil, they are talking about unity, they are talking about multicultural and multi faith. How will the people of America take Mohan Bhagwat, even if it is the diaspora, because they can see through what RSS stands for?
the problem is not that. Look, a lot of people in America are probably ignorant about RSS, but they know about Hindu nationalism. Now, Hindu nationalism has an abbreviation, which is RSS. They will talk about it. They will talk about the intolerance, and to compound things, the UN issued a statement just 2 days ago about discriminatory policies. And if you look at the executive summary, they're basically talking about what Hemanta Basu was doing in Assam. I mean, you have BJP chief ministers campaigning on the promise of discriminating against minorities. And saying we will make their life so difficult that they will not live in our states. And these are one thing that Americans must understand is not to look at RSS in isolation. RSS, after all, is not even a registered organization, right? It has no legal status. What they must look at it as, it is the core
Not
although
registered in India, but of course registered very well in
in the
America.
US. Yes, yes. But what is interesting is that it is the core of the Hindutva ecosystem. So it has all kinds of fronts. The BJP is its political front. Then the Bajrang Dal is its, nasty front on the streets, the thugs on the streets. And then it has Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Mahasabha. All of these are part and parcel of the ideology of Hindu supremacy that RSS promotes. And I think that is something. What I think RSS has done is inadvertently, I think, to promote Mohan Bhagwat's image, and I think to recruit the diaspora, the wealthy diaspora, and actually take money from them. I think RSS has inadvertently drawn attention to itself, to Hindu nationalism, to the dangers and intolerance of Hindu nationalism, and especially in conjunction with the FCRA law that is being amended in India. I think uh, Hindu nationalists will find friends neither on the right nor on the left, because they're beginning to realize that just as Jewish nationalism oppresses Christians in the Holy Land, Hindu nationalism, even though it is a right wing movement and conservative, is also anti Christian. So Donald Trump and his party, especially people like Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, these people are all profoundly aware of the anti Christian sentiment of Hindu nationalism. And I think there will be more and more coverage going forward. I think these two visits by RSS leaders, Dattatreya Hasbale, the number two guy, who came, and he was, the National Public Radio did an interview with him, and the poor guy, he was really handled very badly. He did not know that the host was doing more editorializing than actually interviewing him, and he ended up telling the entire history of RSS, connected them to the assassination of Gandhiji and all other atrocities, including terrorist activities and bomb explosions in India, if you look at NPR's interview. So I think that this is probably going to do. RSS is a shadowy organization. It should remain in the shadows. It should be India's shame, India's guilt, and India should hide it, not expose it, because what RSS is doing is damaging India's image. It is damaging the image of India's democracy, and India has a reputation of cultural
No, but what you
pluralism.
said, Dr. Khan, you said that RSS is a shame and it should remain in the shadows because it harms the reputation of India. But what after this New York event? I'm sure all the pictures will come out, and RSS will be gung-ho about the fact that, look, we addressed an international gathering at New York. What bigger achievement than this? Those photographs splashing, and the entire right wing ecosystem is going to be energized, and they will come out with their own narrative. So what after that? What after the Madison Square Garden event?
So it is going to help them domestically in India for sure. They are going to see one of the things with the Andhbhaks. The Andhbhaks have really earned their title, which means they will probably only watch and right-wing media, which will portray this as a phenomenally successful event, right? Most of America has now become Sanatani or something like that, thanks to Mohan Bhagwat's speech. But what it has also done is triggered a lot of interest. I have already got requests from high school students who want to write papers on Hindu nationalism. They want to know what it is. And then there are people who are coming and asking. And, my answer to all of these students is standard. I said, look at what the number two guy said when he came to Washington. Dattatreya himself said, I know people here think that we are the KKK of India. That's how he started. And yes, people will think now that you are the KKK of India, and the KKK at its worst, not currently, So I think that this has been a big mistake. Look, what Mohan Bhagwat has done is try to copy Modi's strategy. Modi has used the Ministry of External Affairs as an event management company that has promoted his image among the diaspora, and that has been beneficial. We know that literally hundreds of millions of dollars go from the Indian diaspora to BJP, especially during elections. We even read stories about how many Indian Americans went back to campaign for Modi. These are foreign money, by the way, okay? RSS should not be getting foreign money if India is so opposed to foreign money. But they're not only spending money to ensure that BJP wins, but they go and campaign. And you know something about the Indian diaspora, Neelu, it is profoundly, profoundly hypocritical. Everywhere in the West, they vote for the left. Right now, in the U.S. Congress, there are 6 Indians who are members of the U.S. Congress. All of them are from the Democratic Party. None of them from the Republican Party. And there will be only 4 in February because 2 of them lost their primaries. But what I'm trying to say is that when they live abroad, they vote for the left, and in India they support the right,
Right.
because they. And I must tell you that there's something sinister about the Indian diaspora, because after living here for a while, being highly educated, they understand the dangers of right-wing neo-Nazi KKK type groups. And you don't have to have a 3-digit IQ to connect what RSS, Bajrang Dal, they are the similar violent faces of right-wing activism. So they are deliberately opposing those right-wing activists here in the US and Europe and UK, but they are supporting that in India. That suggests to me a lack of good faith among the diaspora. And so all their pretenses that, oh, we are universalists, we believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. No, you don't. First, you exclude half the population of the planet. Women are not part of the family, right? As far as RSS is concerned. And what is amazing to me is how this is not a big issue in India. When Beti Bajao and all of these naras that
Thanks to the
Modi,
media,
yeah,
thanks to the legacy media.
I mean, they should just hound them to death until they open it up for women. I can tell you that, look, there are lots and lots of women from that female actress, I don't know, Kangana Ranaut, to Smita Irani and all, who are like more RSS than RSS themselves, right? So I mean, they will strengthen themselves if they open up. But the fact that their ideological orientation is so exclusive is that it is an upper caste, an upper class, and patriarchal organization.
Absolutely. I also want to understand, or rather, if you could decode this US IRF press release coming as it does when Mohan Bhagwat is in New York and they urge the Trump
Sure.
administration to, put sanctions on RSS, seek revocation of his visa. Now, what does that press release mean? Does it mean that Trump's administration also somewhere down the line would second what USIRF has written in the press release?
No. So the US Commission on International Religious Freedom is a quasi-US government. So for example, there were 2 people who posted comments. One is being attacked because he is a Pakistani American. People should understand, doesn't matter where he was born, he's an American, he's been appointed by the Democratic Party, and he's the chair of the US Commission on International Religious Freedom. In the past, people of Indian origin have also been on that. But the other guy, who's not an Indian, his statement was the more stronger one, where he basically called for sanctions, on targeted sanctions on RSS people. Now, US Commission maintains an annual report, and since 2020, they have been documenting atrocities against minorities, violence against minorities, against religious freedom. People are taking pride in the fact that religious institutions are being demolished with bulldozers, etc., all over India. They are proud of it. I feel so sad. I was listening to these students in Patna. A student, he's been preparing for 6 years and the exam hasn't happened for 3 years, and he was crying literally. He couldn't speak. He was so emotional. And I'm saying, and yet you vote for this party. Your parents are voting for it. Your family members are voting for it. And I, given on a good governance scale, the BJP doesn't deserve to win votes. Otherwise, they would not be invoking this Hindu-Muslim, Hindu-Christian dichotomy. So people are voting them in spite of the bad governance because they have bought into the hate politics of RSS and BJP in India. And it is damaging India's growth. Look, India can never become great if all its minorities, which constitute nearly 20% of the population, are deliberately
Absolutely.
impoverished and marginalized, right? So if you really are inclusive, you should be promoting and helping the minorities to also come out of poverty and come out of backwardness. That we don't see those policies. I mean, we see the naras, sabka saath, sabka vikas, but the policies are exclusionary. And I think there should be greater scrutiny in India about it and overseas. So now with even the United Nations chipping in, but the USCIRF reports are there, they are documented everywhere. The Democrats take it very seriously. If you remember, Anthony Blinken said we are monitoring India. Remember at the peak of, look, the best relations Modi had was
Yes.
with Biden, not with Trump. It was rhetorical with Trump.
Yes.
With Biden, it was real. Even then, Blinken said this. Kamala Harris, as vice president, actually told Narendra Modi on his face about this. If you Google Los Angeles Times, you'll see a whole article on how she basically lectured Modi on human rights and minority situation in India. So the point is that the in the government circles, people are aware. And in the past, India was very critical to balance China. But if that perception changes, India's strategic necessity for the US to balance China is altered by, say, a G2 model, then I think the lights which are just highlighting India's discrimination of minorities will actually begin to have policy implications. If Rubio or JD Vance becomes president after, Trump is all about money, that is it, and personal glory. But these people are like very serious. They are like members of RSS. Rubio and JD Vance, they will focus on discrimination against Christians. And remember, when Rubio came to India, what did he do first? He went straight to Mother Teresa's house because the Indian government had previously cancelled the non-profit status or frozen the accounts of that particular organization run by Mother Teresa's followers. Or so the message was very clear to the Indian government: don't touch Christian organizations. Yes, the Rubio and Vance may say, okay, go kill Muslims, we don't worry, but RSS wants to kill Christians also. And look at the kind of treatment they are giving to Christians these days, targeting them.
You're right, Dr. Khan. But there's another question which people have been discussing for the last 2-3 days, or since the time Bhagwat reached New York. That what are the outcomes which RSS is actually looking at? Is it seeking legitimacy? Is it trying to give a message? Because back home you've had a Gen Z movement, so they will try and send out a message to the Gen Z. They will try and say that, look, RSS, as you thought isn't so bad, and look, we also stand for oneness and this that. So I'm sure they will seek legitimacy. But how is it going to unfold? Because he will have a very laced language, and I'm sure he's going to put all that out.
So look, there are several things going on, Neelu. One thing is that Hindu nationalists in the US have tried to model themselves as a monotheist religion, because they know that as long as they are seen as outside the Abrahamic family, uh, like even Christians who hate Muslims and Jews, they recognize that Muslims, Christians, and Jews worship the same God. So, but that's not the case. I mean, there are more gods in Hinduism than there are people in America, isn't it? So there are like 7,000 crores or so many gods. So this whole idea of polytheism and the idea of idol worship does not sit ultimately well. So there has been a way of re-articulating Hinduism as a kind of monotheistic. So if you look at Vivek Ramaswamy, the moment you ask Vivek Ramaswamy a question about Hinduism, he starts quoting the Bible, if you notice. He never quotes Hindu texts, but he quotes Bible all the time, because he's trying to say that Hinduism is like Christianity and we have the same values. So this is the agenda of the religious Hindus. And I sympathize with this, because as Muslims, we also emphasize the Abrahamic tradition so that people realize that we worship the same God. And Muslims also revere Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. But that is different from RSS. What RSS is trying to do is very small and narrow. RSS wants its hands in the pocket of the diaspora. They want their resources so that they can be more effective back home in India. Plus, they realize that the diaspora is becoming influential, powerful, politically important. You had Rishi Sunak in UK become the prime minister there, and you have politicians here in the US. Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor, etc. So they think that if they can literally do what they oppose, which is convert these people into RSS and Hindutva people, then they will be very powerful allies, supporters, financial, etc. So this is about getting international support when at some point, I think in the next 3 years, Modi is going to do something very drastic to reaffirm the Hindu Rashtra identity of India.
Okay.
That could lead to violence, and that could lead to international criticism. So, in order for protection from international criticism, India is campaigning to be part of the permanent members so they can veto
Hmm.
anything that happens in the
That's an
UN.
interesting point.
Yeah, and they can also make sure that powerful Indians in various governments, uh, they are trying to copy the Israeli model, right? So if the Israeli diaspora is so powerful in various Western countries, they can get their politicians to support and fund genocide. So they're thinking, why can't we do the same thing? Why can't
Right.
we use our diaspora to push the Hindutva agenda at home in India and enjoy support for it
So that's almost
internationally?
like weaponizing the diaspora in your
Of
favor.
course. Modi did that. That is what he has done very clearly, weaponizing. And you can see that in the case of the Canadian fiasco when India's relations with Canada had gone awry. Even
Yes.
the assassinations of Niger and others was using Indians in the foreign country as assassination. Yes, it was used by a gangster, allowing the Indian government a deniability, etc. But yes, if there were no Indians in Canada, then they could not have killed the other Indians too, right?
Absolutely.
So,
No,
so
very interesting points you've raised, Dr. Khan. But coming to the last leg of our interview, uh, what is the kind of media coverage which Mohan Bhagwat's visit is getting in the New York papers and in the American papers? Do you see a wide coverage over there of the event and the kind of protests which are taking place?
they are waiting to see what happens. Right now, the protests are not like, for example, I did not see uh, uh, a huge article in the New York Times or National Public Radio, right? They also realize that they do not want to give him that kind of importance. He's not Modi, right? He's just
Okay.
a right-wing guy. Unfortunately, there are too many right-wing people right now in the United States. He's just
Hmm.
one of them. So, but I think that I hope that there is nothing unpleasant that happens. Let him speak. uh, I'm sure even the RSS people who are sitting there will be embarrassed by all his wonderful statements. I think I can tell you the speech that he's saying. We believe in all humanity as one family. As Hindus, we have had a long history of inclusion. Forget about the fact that for thousands of years we have treated people as untouchables. That was not, RSS. So they will come up and try to protect. Now the question is he going to promote RSS? Is he going to promote Hinduism? Is he going to promote Hindu nationalism, or is he going to promote India? So there will be a lot of this overlapping of these messages, right? But I think that they don't realize that we don't have Godi media in America. Every day, if you watch CNN, if you watch MS Now, if you watch our comics, just look at the comedians. Like, there are thousands of comedians who are daily making fun of Donald Trump. In India, 6-year-old kids are arrested or detained by police for demanding some kind of resignation. I saw some photographs of police taking away a 6-year-old child in Patna. So, so there will be critical scrutiny of what RSS is now, and I think that is something that once you shine a light on RSS, then the sinister nature of that organization will become quite apparent to people. Not only that, but it is also becoming apparent to Indians themselves when they see what is happening.
Yeah. No, no. I mean, look at the cockroach movement, how they are denigrating the entire RSS ideology and all that. I mean, small children, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, talking about the ideological leanings of RSS. But coming to my last question, Dr. Khan, do
Okay.
you see any possibility where you could see a possibility of this New York function not happening because of some reason, and Dr. Bhagwat not going to Canada at all? Could there be that scale of
Oh,
pressure?
so I think the New York event will happen. It's still 27, just 2 more days. Uh, but I think the Canadian thing could be delayed. I couldn't find the date for when it is, in the first week of September.
Yes,
And
31st and 1st.
yeah,
31st and 1st of
yeah.
September.
So it is quite possible that he will go a day early and he'll meet with the people, because his real work is meeting people privately and strategizing on what to do, right? There are a lot of supporters of RSS here in the US. So I think that is the more important part for him, which he will accomplish. But it is quite likely that there will be more and more protests in Canada, as well as I think he's also going to UK, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, and there will be these issues, but I can tell you this much: there will be a lot more literature coming out about RSS in mainstream media across the world, and given the fact that there is now scrutiny of RSS back home. Look, the fact that RSS is not a registered organization tells you how corrupt this organization is and how corrupt the government is. How come they are not bulldozing the houses of an organization which has buildings and offices which look like five-star hotels, right? So they are faking it. There's some fake organizations, etc., etc. There is a lot of duplicity going on there, which is in collusion with the media, with the things. I'm thinking that if I come to India and introduce a concept, please don't get offended, and start a school for something that Indians have forgotten, called investigative journalism. I think I should deserve a Padma Bhushan. In fact, just for saying that India needs an investigative journalism school so that they can hold the government accountable and groups such as this accountable, I deserve at least a Padma Shri.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can't agree with you more on this. But let's see what happens on 29th of August. Thank you so much, Dr. Khan, for joining on HW News. Thank you.